بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي لا يفعل الفاعلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون، فتر الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالصخور ميدان أرضه، ثم الصلاة والسلام على العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وآله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحبه المنتجبين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. من أئمة أهل البيت عليهم السلام الإمام الحسن العسكري عليه السلام، الذي نلتقي بذكرى استشهاده في الأحد القادم. اشتهر الإمام عليه السلام وأبوه الإمام الهادي عليهما السلام بالعسكريين نسبة إلى عسكر وهي مدينة سامراء، وإن إحضار هذين الإمامين العسكريين إلى مدينة سامراء، وهي يومئذ عاصمة الخلافة العباسية، تشبه إلى العمل الذي قام به المأمون العباسي في دعوة الإمام الرضا عليه السلام إلى ولاية خراسان. كانت الدولة تراقب حركات الإمام وكيفية ارتباطاته مع الجالية الشيعية، ولذلك نقل علي بن جعفر عن الحلبي قال: كنا مجتمعين في العسكر ننتظر قدوم الإمام في يوم الذهاب إلى دار الخلافة، فوصلتنا رقعة من الإمام العسكري عليه السلام جاء فيها: ألا لا يسلمن علي أحد ولا يشير إلي بيده فإنكم لا تأمنون على أنفسكم. سجن الإمام مرة في زمان المعتمد العباسي، وكان سجانه ابن جرين، وكان المعتمد يسأله عن أخبار الإمام عليه السلام في كل وقت، فيخبره أنه يصوم النهار ويصلي الليل. وعندما خرج من السجن كتب بيده المباركة قوله تعالى: يريدون ليطفئوا نور الله بأفواههم والله متم نوره ولو كره الكافرون. لم يترك الإمام عليه السلام فرصة إلا واستعملها لإعلاء كلمة الله ولاستنقاذ الأمة. كان يقول: أكثروا يا عباد الله ذكر الله وذكر الموت وتلاوة القرآن والصلاة على النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله.
اللهم صل على محمد
كما كتب عليه السلام إلى ابن بابويه القمي، قال: عليك بالصبر وانتظار الفرج، فإن النبي صلى الله عليه وآله قال: أفضل أعمال أمتي انتظار الفرج، ولا تزال شيعتنا في حزن حتى يظهر ولدي الذي بشر به النبي صلى الله عليه وآله يملأ الأرض قسطا وعدلا بعدما ملأت ظلما وجورا، فاصبر يا أبا الحسن وأمر الشيعة بالصبر، فإن الأرض لله يورثها من يشاء من عباده، والعاقبة للمتقين. كان وفاته عليه السلام بداية عصر إمامة ولده صاحب العصر والزمان، عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم أرنا الطلعة الرشيدة والغرة الحميدة، وعجل فرجه وسهل مخرجه وأوسع منهجه، وانصره ناصرا لمن لا يجد له ناصرا. اللهم اكشف هذه الغمة عن هذه الأمة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره، ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له، ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله أكرمه بالنبوة وجعله رحمة للعالمين. اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك، وصل على وصيه وأخيه أمير المؤمنين، وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، وصل على سبتي الرحمة الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة، وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف القائم المهدي، حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا سقما إلا شفيته، ولا عيبا إلا سترته، ولا رزقا إلا بسطته، ولا خوفا إلا أمنته، ولا سوءا إلا صرفته، ولا حاجة هي لك رضا ولي فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين. On the first Friday of this October, I talked about the International Day of Non-Violence. As the October is called the month of non-violence, today I like to continue that discussion. To have non-violence in the world, we need to start non-violence from our homes. Since we know that domestic violence is real in our country and even in our community. The family union was meant to be a union of love, respect, peace, and healing and happiness. But things are changing in our society since domestic violence, whether physical, emotional, financial, getting more serious. Sometimes people during the family argumentation call 911, and we know that legally people can be jailed for 93 days if that is their first time of domestic violence, and up to $500 fine. For people who have done that repeatedly, they can stay in prison for 5 years and they can be fined for $5,000. We as masajid, our job is to talk about these issues, and especially in October, with a season of this conversation, and increase our education on this subject. How can we have resolutions for family conflicts? And we promote, of course, Islamic akhlaq, values, patience and forgiveness and understanding in family relationship. Or sometimes we need to get assistance from professionals and experts in mental health issues or domestic violence, because العنف الأسري من أسوأ أنواع العدوان العائلي، لأن العدوان الأسري ينتهي إلى العدوان الاجتماعي. Violence starts from family and then comes to the society. هدف الزواج هو السرور، السكينة، السعادة. ليس هدف الزواج الحرب والانزعاج والقلل والمشاكل. There are so many ahadith of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and Ahlul Bayt, like this one from the Messenger of Allah: من لتم زوجته على وجهها أمر الله مالك النيران أن يلتمه 70 اللتمة على وجهه في نار جهنم. نعوذ بالله, if someone slapped his spouse or her spouse on the face, this person would be punished with 70 strikes in nar jahannam. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله: ألا أخبركم بشرار رجالكم؟ قلنا بلى يا رسول الله. قال: إن من شرار رجالكم البهات الجري، الفحاش، الآكل وحده، المانع رفده، الضارب عبده، والملجئ عياله إلى غيره. The worst people in the community, the worst rajal, the worst men in the community are the one whose mouth and their language is bad language. They are selfish, they are abusive to their family members, and they are careless about their families. These are shirar rijal. Somebody may say that, what about the verse in the Quran, وَاللَّاتِ تَخَافُونَ نُشُوزَهُنَّ فَعِدُوهُنَّ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ وَاضْرِبُوهُنَّ فَإِنْ أَطَعْنَكُمْ فَلَا تَبْغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ سَبِيلًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيًّا كَبِيرًا. And they try to use this وَاضْرِبُوهُنَّ like a justification for domestic violence. And they forgot that, no, this is not what Quran means. And especially for silly reasons. مثلا الرجل يضرب زوجته لأنها مثلا قصرت في الطبخ أو تنظيف البيت. So because my lunch is late or my dinner is late, so a huge fighting because of simple thing that even her duty is not really, the wife duty is not cooking and killing and cooking and cleaning, and now they usually do it because this is our traditions that we cooperate. But حتى لها الحق أن تطلب الأجرة من الرجل لإرضاع أطفالها. She can even ask for compensation from her husband for feeding the babies, for nursing the babies, and to that point. Of course, nobody would ask money from her husband for these reasons, but I'm saying that technically, legally, if they ask, that is the right. Yani it's not wajib for her to do certain things, but it's going to happen. But now, even if you go to this verse, that it says, first of all, if your wife are nushuzuhunna, nushuz is not that because she didn't cook, so she is nashiza. Some mufassirin saying that nashiza means al-khiyana, and they consider like al-khiyana al-jinsiyya, if she had affairs and na'udhu billah haram relationship with another man, then the husband is to preach her and teach her and make it clear that's wrong. And if that didn't work, then separation from the bed, not to leave the house, but still in the house, but you just don't share the same bed with her because of her nushuz. And even if that didn't work, the logic doesn't work, conversation and nasiha and peaceful preaching doesn't work, in that case Quran says idribuhunna. Now, does idribuhunna mean that go and hit your wife? I mean, somebody wrote an article, it says how God, a loving Lord, who was Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, merciful, compassionate God, saying to husband, go and hit your wife. I mean, he doesn't look like a God that we know say such a thing. I mean, it doesn't even in our tradition say you have a cat in your house, you are not supposed to even hit your cat. And now you think that God says go and hit your wife? I mean, it's not, and hey, Ali Sharikatul Hayat and your partner and all of these things. You go to the Quran, there are 58 times the word dharaba or dharabu, yadrib, udrubu, yadribna. 58 times this term of adharb is mentioned in the Quran. And subhanAllah, when you go through all of these verses, you see that none of them means to hit someone. Of course, in Arabic, dharb means to hit too. But when you go to the ayat Qur'aniyah, the Quranic verse, you see that none of the terms of darb and daraba meant to be hitting someone. مثلا الذين يضربون في الأرض يعني يسافرون في الأرض, right? ضرب الله مثلا, Allah is giving an example. ضرب doesn't mean Allah hitting an example, He's making an example. ضرب الله مثلا للذين آمنوا امرأة فرعون. It doesn't mean God is hitting anybody, just giving an example. ضرب المثل. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا ضربتم في سبيل الله means هاجرتم في سبيل الله. You leave your home and you تهاجر في سبيل الله. تلك الأمثال نضربها للناس. I mean, you go through all these 58 verses in the Quran, and none of them says, or when you see the context of the verse is not talking about hitting somebody. It's about something different. So if you take only this وَضْرِبُهُنَّ and go literally, and you want to just translate the word in a literal way, then why you don't go to عَشَرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ? What about هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنَّ? What about مِثَاقًا غَلِيظًا? That Quran is saying that she is like your clothes. You have a heavenly covenant called marriage. So you see that those who try to use this verse to justify domestic violence, they are wrong, because the verse doesn't talk about violence. The verse is saying اضربوهن in this case means that if nothing helps in your marriage relationship, and your relationship is like nar jahannam, then اضربوهن, that means that ba'iduhunna. That means that you get to the point that the divorce is the only solution. Then go ahead with that. It's not that God likes that, but if nothing works in relationship, and it's going to continuity of torture and fighting and violence, better to end this fighting and اضربوهن ba'iduhunna. It means to separate, is an infisal. So divorce is not popular in our faith, but sometimes as the final resolution and the final solution, that's it. But the same thing, when we talk about domestic violence, it's not that always men are violent against women. Sometimes it's opposite. I mean, we have cases that women get violent to the point that they even kill their husband. Haven't you heard in the news many cases? That happened. And Islam is a religion of justice. It's not for man or woman. Islam is for justice. If man is just or woman just, okay. If any of them exercising injustice, Islam deals with that and condemns that. This is why the Prophet said, "Man kana lahu imra'atun tu'dhihi, lam yaqbal Allahu salataha wala hasanatan min 'amaliha hatta turdhihi wa tu'inuhu wa in samat ad-dahra wa qamat wa i'taqat ar-riqab wa anfaqat al-amwala fi sabilillah." If there is a lady that hurting her husband and is abusing her husband, so even if this lady is faithful and prays and charity and all these acts of worship, the Prophet said is not accepted from her till she goes and makes her husband happy and shows cooperation. Because unfortunately now, though domestic violence in majority is like men against women, but there are so many cases that we have domestic violence starts from women. I just had last week, a gentleman came to me and he said that I have a wife that Really, she always insults me, yells at me, raises her voice, is very angry, anger issue, arguments all the time, shows hate, suspicious, always checking my email, checking my text, and has suspicious about everything about me, and very jealous, very extremist, always puts me down, showing no respect for me. Even she accusing me. Sometimes she tries to ruin my reputation, puts stuff on the Facebook against me, using bad language, putting my family down, has no respect for my parents, for my relatives. And what should I do? She is not careful about money. She spends a lot. She does israf. And so much controlling about everything, and looks like she goes with the culture of me, myself, and I. It's just like my way or highway. So we have, unfortunately, situations like this, that we cannot have peace in the family because of silly things causing like huge fighting, and in reality, you see, for nothing. Our religion is about justice. Our religion is the family union, is a holy union, a union of love, union of respect, union of understanding. And it is for both men and women. The Holy Prophets established this balance. He said, مَا زَالَ جِبْرَائِيل يُوصِينِي بِالْمَرْأَةِ حتى ظننت أنه لا ينبغي طلاقها إلا من فاحشة مبينة. So much Jibril talk about caring for women and respecting them, that I thought that even divorce is not okay, except there is really huge issues. That is my impression of listening to Jibril. We need to follow the example of the Prophet and his family. Imam Ali's relationship with Sayyidah Fatima, Prophet relationship with Sayyidah Khadija. Even at that time, that women were really oppressed. And unfortunately, even today, in 21st century, we see this violence continues against women, despite of all this feminism. I mean, this sexism that exists, like even women, like we have a lady who is our governor, working very hard, very honorable leader. But you see that lots of talk just because she's a lady, right? Because she's a woman. Probably if it was a man in her position, wouldn't receive that much attack and hurt. I mean, other ladies like Omar Ilhan or Rashida Tlaib or Debbie Dingell, these are ladies in position in Congress. But still we see that some kind of discrimination because of their gender. We as Imams of the Imams Council, we had a proclamation a few years ago of talking about condemnation of family violence, domestic violence, and to improve education and have this conversation, because this is a real issue, and work with professionals and experts to deal with these issues. So when there is a problem in the family, nobody calls 911, 911, and involving the police and jail and court and crisis for the family. That is really, that is horrible. So when we heard that, yeah, this woman in Michigan looks like just being a woman, like is a crime just to be a woman, like just a woman in Michigan. And this is really what we could sense even last night, if you watch this debate, that you could feel the same thing. There was a lady with Kristen Wilker who was moderator of the debate, very, very strong lady. But still you could see that this sense of discrimination in culture, unfortunately, exists. We saw that discrimination about women, we saw that about Muslims. You remember when Joe Biden said that Muslims banned because they were Muslims. And the president didn't say anything, like showed no comment on that. He showed comment about black though, when he was saying that that famous funny things that nobody except Abraham Lincoln, except him, possibly he did a little bit more than me, but except him, no one served and did more for blacks more than I did. So he showed sensitivity about like racism. But when it came to ban for Muslim, he really couldn't say anything. He said, yeah, in this audience, although I don't see everybody, it's dark, I don't see the entire audience, but I am the least racist in this room. So if you don't see people, and if you don't know who is there, and you cannot even see them, how you come to the conclusion that everybody is more racist than you, and you are the less racist in the entire audience in this room? So you see, as we go, brothers and sisters, through this international violence here and there, part of it starts from violence in the family. And this starts from the family and then come to the politics, and all of a sudden you see that the same thing goes to even to the White House and to the entire world. And it's very dangerous, especially now that we go to this corona. Now, each day the number is higher. Today in the news was 223,000 cases of death. Na'udhu billah, wa ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for recovery for the other one, 8.4 million who are infected with coronavirus. This is a huge, huge number. But this is not, as I've been discussing every Friday, this is not the only crisis. We have a huge crisis of misinformation, an ocean of misinformation, that in this ocean of chaos and confusion, you have to be very, very blessed to survive. It's very, very difficult. There are some lobbying group that the job of those lobbies is just to lie. I mean, their business is to lie. The lobbies in Washington, their lobbies in New York, they're here and there. Their job is just to have false statement and false stories and distortion of truth and providing hate speeches. And so this is why we see this culture, which is a public health issues, in addition to the crisis of misinformation. We really see a war of information, war of culture, war of propaganda. It is good at least that we have in this country this freedom, that you have these two candidates, they come and they can challenge one another. You never have such a thing in Saudi Arabia. You never have such a thing in United Arab Emirates. You never have such a thing in Egypt. You have some in Lebanon now. Poor Lebanon now. Saad Hariri is back now. Ahlan wa sahlan. After everything that happened, now it's it's saying that the definition of insanity is to repeat everything all the time and expect different result. And this is really what happened there. So we have this kind of similar freedom also in Lebanon. You are free to say whatever you want in Lebanon. You have some extent in Iran, like all this social media, people sending me crazy stuff that is so, my goodness, what's going on? Nobody stop anybody, is just getting to just a chaotic. So you see that in some extent you see this freedom in Iraq too. You are free to curse anybody, to say anything to anyone, which is not good. But the good thing is that the Quran says, فَبَشِّرْ عِبَادَ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمْعُونَ الْقَوْلِ فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَهُ. So you hear Trump, you hear Joe Biden, you hear all this discussion, and then just use your conscience, use common sense. Just listen to the statements, listen to the stories that everybody is providing, and using your wisdom and your mind and common sense, absolutely common sense, and realize that when you heard that the president was saying, I don't care. This is something that we have to have it in your family, my family. Make sure that we don't teach our kids the culture of I don't care. That's very dangerous. I mean, how can you be like in that responsibility and say, I don't care like what's going on in this room, and that's what I think. So the culture of I don't care is the culture of irresponsibility. And this starts from the family, then goes to the White House, then goes to Yemen, then go to Gaza, then go to Afghanistan. You see chaos and mess all over the world because there are some people say, I don't care. And that is the point that domestic violence starts. Somebody says, I don't care. So I hope that based on our traditions, our teachings, that how family is important. Hayat al-a'iliyya, hayat al-mawadda, hayat al-rahma, hayat al-salam wa sakina, hayat al-khayr wa surur, hayat al-uns wa raha, hayat al-ibtisam wa al-ibtinan, hayat al-akhlaq wa tasamuh. One of the ulama was saying that, remember 3 memes, ثلاثة ميمات في الحياة العائلية: ميم المعرفة، ميم المحبة، وميم المغفرة. To have understanding, forgiveness, and love. These 3 values are very fundamental. Of course, there are some other when we show patience, smiling. You didn't see President smile at all last night in this discussion, right? It's important to learn from the childhood that, yes, smile in a true way, not in a fake way, matters. So it is family, it's about friendship, it's about peace, tranquility, love, tolerance, understanding, forgiveness, and sometimes even to forget. There are silly things to forget, and life goes on. And if we established this non-violence in the family, then we can promote non-violence and peace in the community, non-violence and peace in the world. And then that is the moment that we can enjoy the peace. And this is why the Imam and the leadership of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, that starts from this Sunday, because the istishhad, the martyrdom of Imam al-Askari alayhi salam is the beginning of the leadership of Imam al-Mahdi. that we are waiting that يملأ الأرض قسطا وعدلا بعدما ملأت ظلما وجورا. After all this war and violence and chaos and conflict, humanity is waiting for peace. There is a brother who came and I was making wudu. He was going to talk to me. I said, brother, come to me after the salat. He said, I received a revelation that Akhir Zaman is coming. I said, that's a big news. So please come and talk with me after the salat, because now this is a huge issue and I need some time. I said, how do you know that Akhir Zaman is coming? He said, I received a revelation. So I'm waiting to listen to this brother. I hope he didn't get mad of me because I was busy before the salat, but you never know. You hear this say, well, it's just crazy guys talking like that. But you never know, right? You never know, because who knows? It might be tomorrow, it might be a million years from now, but I hope that it happened in our life, that we can celebrate peace. When you have a president say, oh, Iranians, they are in hell. He enjoys it. I mean, why do you enjoy now? You put people in hell and you celebrate that they are suffering? Instead of putting people in heaven and celebrate and be happy that you are healing, you are helping someone. But you are dancing that people are dying in the hell. That is a huge problem. But then we have hope, right? If you don't have hope in some politicians, but we have hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma aghfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat, wal muslimina wal muslimat, al ahya'i minhum wal amwat, wa tabi' baynana wa baynahum bil khairat, innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir, wa ila as-salati, inna as-salata tanha 'anil fahsha wal munkar. Wassalamu alaykum. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله وأن عليا ولي الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة وقد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. سووا صفوف طبعا مع التباعد الاجتماعي. You keep your distance and organize the lines and silence your cell phone please. وجهت وجهي للذي فطر السماوات والأرض حنيفا مسلما وما أنا من المشركين. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين، وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا، بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله الحليم الكريم، لا إله إلا الله العلي العظيم. سبحان الله رب السماوات السابع ورب الأرضين السابع وما فيهن وما بينهن ورب العرش العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. بصل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقول وأقول. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى وما خلق الذكر والأنثى إن سعيكم لشتى. فأما من أعطى واتقى وصدق بالحسنى فسنيسره لليسرى
وأما من بخل واستغنى وكذب بالحسنى فسنيسره للعسرى وما يغني عنه ماله إذا تردى إن علينا للهدى وإن لنا للآخرة فالأولى فأنذرتكم نارا تلظى لا يصلاها إلا الأشقى الذي كذب وتولى وسيجنبها الأتقى الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى ولسوف يرضى. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا رحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا ولي العافية أسألك العافية عافية الدنيا والآخرة يا أرحم الراحمين. الله أكبر. بسم الله وبالله والحمد لله وخير الأسماء لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا من يقدر على حوائج السائلين ويعلم ما في ضمير الصامتين. يا من لا يحتاج إلى تفسير. يا من يعلم خائنة الأعين وما تخفي الصدور. يا من أنزل العذاب على قوم يونس فدعوه وتضرعوا إليه فكشف عنهم العذاب ومتعهم إلى حين. قد ترى مكاني وتسمع دعائي وتعلم علانيتي وسري وحالي. صل على محمد وآل محمد واكفني ما أهمني من أمر ديني ودنياي وآخرتي برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تقبل Allah inshallah. A few announcements inshallah. This Sunday October 25th, at 8 p.m., we have a discussion about how to reduce the risk of Alzheimer disease, مرض النسيان. I have to go to this class as well. So this Sunday, 8 p.m., follow our Facebook, Islamic House of Wisdom Facebook, and of course it's going to be shared with so many other networks. And there is a discussion that there are at least 10 signs of مرض النسيان، يعني 10 علائم للخطر مرض النسيان. There are 10 signs of Alzheimer that we should see that if any of these signs in us, we have to be careful and to see how we can stop that. There's good discussion. Also this Sunday, our Sunday service, Sayyid Imam Sayyid Mustafa Qazwini from California visiting House of Wisdom, and we are going to air a chatting this Sunday at 11 o'clock. There are good chatting, good conversation, and you might be interested to watch our Facebook this Sunday at 11 a.m. Don't forget that there are so much stuff today. It looks like we have more than any other Friday, I think, of the stuff. The boxes are there. Take for yourself, for your families, for your neighbors. And I'm sure that there are people that you know. Please take as many you can for people who are in need. This Sunday also at 3 p.m. we have an usbu here, Al-Marhum Al-Hajj Maryam Al-Hajj Musa Mustafa Hussein Al-Hajj Musa وهي بنت الشهيد. So we have an usbu here at the House of Wisdom at 3 p.m. Inshallah شاركوا في أسبوعها على روحها وأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والشهداء. نقرأ الفاتحة بعد الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. صل على محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. Somebody was asking that if Imam is in ruku' and I just went to qiyam, يعني تركت الركوع إلى القيام، يعني قمت والإمام في حال الركوع، يعني أحسن شيء أن ترجع إلى الركوع وبعد تابع الإمام. وبالعكس إمام في القيام وأنت تذهب إلى الركوع يعني مسبقا، فارجع إلى القيام وكن مع الجماعة. نفس الشيء مع السجود، يعني and إمام السجود and your head up of the sujood, so ارجع إلى السجدة. So these are is not damage your rukn to say, oh, now I have two rukus, two rukn, salati batil. No, fil jama'ah, that is okay. Somebody asked about the salawat, the salam of namaz, the siyam. Alzheimer is coming, right? The salam of the salat, right? Which one is wajib? I mean, we say all the three salams, but the wajib, many maraja, they are saying the last one is wajib. I mean, after tashahhud, you can say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and your salat is okay. But we say assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillah salihin. This is mustahab, and we want to keep this mustahab. But if you go with the wajib, that is wajib. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Yes, there are, fatwa that the khutbah is part of the salat. So you have to be fi hudu and, listen to the khutbah. And istima' al-khutbah wal-hudur fi al-khutbah is qism min as-salat. But if you are late and you are, joining that the rak'atain, still, inshallah, you get ajr thawab salat al-jum'ah. But yes, khutbatain consider as rak'atain, inshallah. نعم لا يجوز الكلام لزوم السكوت أثناء الخطبة. صلى على محمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا